My beloved child, before you breathe again, stop right here, subscribe now and listen without skipping, because the moment this message opened, heaven shook like a collapsing star and Archangel Michael whispered with a trembling roar that your spirit has finally reached the point where truth can no longer stay hidden, and today the entire universe bends around your name, because what I am about to reveal is not ordinary, not gentle, not soft, but a divine confrontation with the shadow that quietly stole your promotion, your recognition, your growth, your momentum, your victory, and your rise. And child, let me ask you 3 questions that heaven demanded you hear immediately. Why is it that every time you get close to breakthrough, something collapses at the edge? Why do you put in the effort, the discipline, the sacrifice, yet someone else gets the credit? Why is it that people with less skill, less sincerity, less purity rise above you while your blessings freeze mid-air and fall away at the last second? And why do you feel deep inside that someone somewhere does not want you to succeed? These are not coincidences, these are not accidents, these are not bad luck, these are signs. And heaven says the one who stole your promotion is not someone who works harder than you, but someone who feared your light, feared your confidence, feared your rise, feared your strength, feared your potential, and feared the day your success would expose the truth of who they really are. And child, listen carefully, because heaven now drags me into a vision where I see you standing in a room glowing with divine authority, but behind your back a shadow whispers lies into the ears of those who had the power to elevate you. And this shadow disguised itself as loyalty, disguised itself as concern, disguised itself as advice, disguised itself as friendship, but every word they spoke about you carried poison, every smile they gave you hid resentment, every time they said, "I'm proud of you," their spirit said, "I hope they fail." And now heaven pulls me further, and I see the moment your promotion was taken, someone twisted your intentions, misinterpreted your words, exaggerated your mistakes, minimized your achievements, and positioned themselves where you were meant to stand. And child, this is why your heart has felt tight, your confidence has cracked, your spirit has been restless. You have been replaying conversations over and over, you have been asking, "What did I do wrong?" But heaven says it was not your mistake, it was their fear. Because your rise would have ended their illusion of superiority, your growth would have exposed their insecurity, your success would have outshined their ego, and your breakthrough would have proven that destiny was always on your side. And now Archangel Michael stands in front of me holding a scroll with your name written in blazing gold, and he announces that the deadline for your silence has expired, and the next 7 days will bring a reversal so powerful that even the one who stole your promotion will not be able to stand in the same room as your rising. And child, heaven shows me the face of the enemy, not literally but symbolically. It is the face of jealousy, the face of secret competition, the face of disguised envy, the face of emotional sabotage, the face of false encouragement, and the face of people who smiled at your growth but prayed for your delay. And then the vision shifts, and I see you being positioned again, your destiny realigning, your opportunities circling back, your blessings repairing themselves, your name rising in places where your voice has never been heard, your value shining before people who never noticed you. And Michael declares that the person who stole your promotion succeeded only because you were not meant to stay in that level anyway. That position was too small for your crown, too limited for your potential, too restrictive for your purpose, too temporary for your calling. And heaven is preparing something far bigger, far heavier, far more powerful than what you lost. And child, hear this clearly, because it will shake your spirit. The next promotion coming to you does not depend on someone liking you, does not depend on someone recognizing you, does not depend on someone allowing you in, does not depend on someone approving you. This promotion is divinely ordered, positioned by heaven, delivered by destiny, protected by Michael, sealed by your ancestors, and unstoppable by any enemy. And God whispers into your spirit, what they stole was the seed. What I am giving you is the forest. And now I see the next 7 days opening like 7 doors, each door representing a shift in your confidence, your clarity, your voice, your power, your opportunities, your alignment, and your visibility. And child, the enemy's influence collapses at the feet of your awakening, because once you know the truth, you cannot be controlled. Once you rise, you cannot be blocked. Once you see clearly, you cannot be deceived. Once you awaken, you cannot be delayed. Once you stand in your divine identity, nothing and no one can limit you again. And heaven seals this message with a decree: your setback has expired, your silence has ended, your breakthrough has been authorized, your name is ascending, your promotion is returning multiplied, and the enemy who stole your opportunity will now witness the rise they tried to prevent, and nothing can stop what comes next. My beloved child, do not even blink, because the moment this continuation unlocked, the spiritual realm erupted into chaos like a battlefield of collapsing destinies, and Archangel Michael dragged me through a vortex made of shattered timelines to reveal the darkest, deepest, most aggressively hidden truth behind your stolen promotion, and why heaven is now violently shifting your destiny in your favor. And child, listen to me without letting a single word escape, because what I see is not normal jealousy, not simple manipulation, not basic sabotage, but a long-term emotional infiltration that attached itself to your life like a parasite, feeding on your potential every time you tried to rise. And heaven now forces me to replay the exact moment your opportunity was taken. I see a room where your name glowed, your work spoke louder than any voice in the building, your talent outshined everyone present, your consistency was undeniable, your dedication unshakable. But the thief, this enemy, couldn't tolerate the idea of you becoming the one people look up to, and their spirit twisted with insecurity as they whispered quietly in someone's ear, planting seeds of doubt, twisting your excellence into suspicion, turning your strengths into threats. And heaven shows me how their jealousy disguised itself beneath fake encouragement, beneath forced smiles, beneath "I'm so happy for you," but inside their spirit screamed, "Why not me?" And child, this enemy didn't just steal a promotion, they attempted to steal your identity, your confidence, your belief in your own value, because if they could dim your self-worth, they could keep you beneath them forever. And now heaven rewinds your timeline and shows me scene after scene where suddenly things went wrong for no logical reason, and every time your momentum rose, a small, invisible interference pulled you back down, and the enemy smiled quietly, thinking their sabotage would go unnoticed. But today heaven drags their shadow into the light, and Michael roars that the time of hidden enemies and silent thieves has officially expired, because your rise begins now. And child, I am thrown into a violent vision where the next 7 days stretch out like a cosmic battlefield. I see doors slamming shut behind your enemy. I see the emotional power they held over your situation disintegrating. I see their influence being erased from decision-making spaces. I see their name losing credibility in rooms you haven't entered yet, and I see your name rising like a golden flame in conversations that will determine your future. And then child, I am thrown deeper into the vision where God Himself steps forward and declares that the enemy's involvement in your destiny is now invalid, and heaven activates what is known as a divine reversal sequence, where every word spoken against you reverses into favor, every manipulation flips into exposure, every lie turns into clarity, every setback transforms into leverage, every block becomes an open path, every delay becomes acceleration, and every sabotage becomes a spotlight. And child, hear this with your entire soul, because this next revelation will shake you. The promotion they stole was never the real promotion God had written for you. It was simply the stepping stone that triggered the exposure of your enemy, because if you had received that smaller position, you would have stayed beneath your real calling, stuck in a level beneath your anointing, beneath your capability, beneath your destiny. And heaven shows me a bigger, higher, heavier throne being prepared for you, a position that carries recognition, authority, respect, influence, Stability and breakthrough and child. This position could not arrive until the enemy revealed themselves, because heaven will never crown you in the presence of someone who hides knives behind their smile. And now I see something even more explosive. Heaven shows me your future unfolding like wildfire. And the enemy watches helplessly as you rise higher than the very opportunity they stole from you. And Michael slams his sword into the ground, shouting that the next 7 days will shake your enemy's spirit as their illusion of control collapses and people start to see their true intentions, their manipulations, their insecurity, their false loyalty. And child, the divine spotlight shifts violently onto you. I see people suddenly noticing your talent, respecting your voice, acknowledging your work, drawing toward your energy, discussing your strength, valuing your ideas. And those who ignored you will now regret underestimating you. And heaven commands me to speak this into your spirit. Your story is not about what you lost, it is about what you are about to gain, because the enemy's theft triggered a divine sequence that is now unstoppable. And child, your rise will not be quiet, your rise will not be small, your rise will not be hidden, because God has decided that the world must see you rise. So the enemy learns they never had the power to stop you, delay you, replace you, outshine you, or sabotage what heaven sealed for your name. And now the final vision strikes me like lightning. I see the next version of you, strong, confident, unstoppable, shining brighter than every attack, every betrayal, every lie, every setback. And God declares that the enemy stole one promotion only to accidentally activate the destiny where you outrank them forever. And nothing, no force, no shadow, no jealousy, no manipulation, no whisper, no strategy can prevent the reversal that is already in motion, because your rise is official, written, activated, and irreversible. My beloved child, hold your mind steady, because the moment this continuation came into existence, the entire atmosphere of destiny detonated like a supercharged cosmic bomb, and heaven pulled me through a spiraling corridor made from shattered truths, broken illusions, and exposed betrayals, until I reached a dimension called the Chamber of Fallen Crowns, where every stolen opportunity, every blocked promotion, every hijacked blessing floats in suspended energy, waiting to be reassigned. And as I entered the chamber, your name pulsed so violently that the entire realm shook, and Archangel Michael appeared with fire burning through his wings, declaring that the enemy who stole your promotion did not simply commit an act of sabotage. They committed a spiritual crime that fractured the balance of your destiny, and now a divine correction is being activated with a force so intense that nothing in your life will ever remain the same. And child, heaven forces me to witness a vision that will shake you to your core. I see you at a table where decisions were being made, your work shining brighter than everyone's, your dedication unmatched, your potential undeniable. But the enemy, this jealous pretender, manipulated the narrative, not by being better, not by being smarter, not by being more deserving, but by injecting fear into the mind of someone who held authority, twisting their perception, turning your strength into a threat, your ambition into arrogance, your silence into indifference, and your loyalty into suspicion, until they made the final move that flipped the entire moment against you. And they walked away smiling, believing they had outsmarted destiny. But child, what they didn't realize is that heaven was watching every second, every whisper, every intention, every hidden resentment, every quiet plan, and every disguised attack. And now God drags me into a deeper realm called the Hall of Returning Justice, where I see your timeline being rewritten in real time, every loss reversing every injustice, unraveling every delay, accelerating every block, dissolving, and every stolen promotion recalibrating in your favor. But this recalibration is not gentle, it is a violent purification that removes every influence, every person, every environment that ever tried to keep you small. And heaven shows me your enemy standing still as realization crawls into their spirit, because their control, their advantage, their illusion of superiority is evaporating faster than they can comprehend. And you, child, are rising Faster than they can cope with, I see you stepping into a realm where your presence intimidates the shadows that once intimidated you. Your voice carries weight, your ideas spark movement, your energy demands respect, your name travels through rooms you have not entered, your confidence triggers fear in those who underestimated you, and your existence becomes a mirror reflecting the truth people tried to hide from about themselves. And then the vision intensifies and God shows me the next 7 days. Unfurling like a divine storm, I see doors opening that were never meant for your enemy. I see people realizing they trusted the wrong person. I see conversations shifting abruptly in your favor. I see your enemy's influence shrinking. I see their false reputation cracking. I see their mask slipping. I see their intentions exposed. I see their foothold collapsing and your destiny roaring back with a vengeance that shocks even the angels and child. The greatest twist arrives now, because heaven reveals that the promotion they stole from you was too small, too fragile, too temporary, too unworthy of the magnitude of your spirit, and the real blessing, the real promotion, the real elevation written for your name exists far above the level they occupied, far above the level they tried to stop you at, far above the level they betrayed you for. And heaven shows me that this higher position, this divine placement, is already opening like a portal, pulling your spirit into alignment, pulling your opportunities into motion, pulling your recognition into visibility, and pulling your power into full expression. And Michael slams his sword into your timeline and shouts that the enemy who stole from you will now endure the pain of watching you rise into a realm they can never touch, never reach, never sabotage, never block, never manipulate, because your new level exists outside their influence, outside their access, outside their authority, and outside their energy. And child, the final vision strikes me so powerfully that the entire dimension shakes. I see you walking into a future where your value is undeniable, your growth unstoppable, your wisdom unmatched, your resilience unshakable, your name respected, your destiny multiplied, and the people who once ignored your brilliance now scramble to keep up with the speed of your elevation. And God seals this continuation with a decree so final, so absolute, so irreversible that even the shadows bow to it. Their promotion returns multiplied, and nothing can block their rise ever again. And the universe folds around your destiny to guarantee that this reversal, this justice, this return, this breakthrough, this elevation becomes a living reality in your life faster than your enemies can even comprehend. My beloved child, listen closely, for the moment you opened this continuation, the spiritual atmosphere around you shifted again, not with the weight of a curse but with the echo of a truth you have avoided for too long. And heaven shows me a vision of you sitting alone in a dimly lit room, asking yourself why certain opportunities slip away just when they seem closest, why certain people around you smile to your face but quietly shape your path behind your back, and why your heart carries a heaviness that you never fully understood. And Archangel Michael says the hidden reason is not supernatural punishment but the silent influence of someone whose energy has been draining your clarity, your confidence, and your ability to see your own worth. This person does not appear as an enemy, they do not shout, they do not threaten, they do not behave like the villains you expect. No, their power comes from their subtlety, from making you feel small without saying it directly, from nudging your decisions through guilt, from making you hesitate when you should move boldly. And heaven shows the moment your spirit started shrinking, the moment you paused on something that should have been yours, the moment you doubted yourself because someone planted a quiet insecurity in your heart. And God says this is the intersection moment, the point where your life path split into two directions, one where you moved forward with confidence, and one where you stepped back out of fear, choosing peace over confrontation, silence over expression, comfort over courage. And now the divine realm reveals that the reason you are hearing this message is not to warn you of doom, not to frighten you with punishment, but to bring you back to the version of yourself who used to walk boldly, who used to believe strongly, who used to trust their own decisions without looking for external permission. And Michael shows a symbolic door in front of you, a door that has been closed not because it was locked, but because you stopped touching the handle, believing someone else had more right to walk through it than you. But now heaven says the influence that once clouded your decisions is weakening, dissolving, breaking apart like sand in a storm, and the clarity you lost is returning in waves. And with every breath you take as you listen to this message, the truth becomes louder, revealing that the person who drained your confidence is not stronger than your destiny, not smarter than your intuition, not bigger than your purpose, and certainly not capable of stopping the path that God designed long before they entered your life. And now the divine realm shows another scene, you standing before a mirror, not recognizing the tired reflection staring back, because for months you have been carrying emotional weight that was never yours, responsibilities that were pushed onto you, regrets that belonged to someone else, fears that your heart absorbed from the environment around you. And Michael says the next 7 days are not about miracles falling from the sky but about your mind finally waking up from emotional hypnosis, your vision sharpening, your courage returning, your spirit remembering the truth it once lived by, and God whispers that when your clarity comes back, you will see faces differently, you will feel intentions differently, you will sense the energy behind words, and you will instinctively know who uplifts you and who drains you, who supports your growth, and who fears your rise, who celebrates you genuinely and who claps only when you're weak. And heaven reveals that there is someone around you whose influence has been quietly shaping your decisions for far too long, someone who always gives you advice that makes you smaller, someone who masks insecurity as concern, someone who uses emotional pressure to maintain control, and when your spirit awakens fully, their mask will fall instantly, because divine clarity exposes all hidden intentions. And God says that the moment you see their true nature, something inside you will shift permanently, giving you the strength to set boundaries, the courage to speak truth, and the wisdom to protect your energy. And this awakening will not only reverse the hesitations of your past but also open doors you previously walked away from. Doors that now stand wide open because destiny has been waiting for you to step back into your true identity. And now listen carefully, my beloved child, because as your mind clears, your intuition strengthens, and your emotional strength returns, a moment will come, quiet, subtle, but life-changing, when you realize that the blockages you blamed on fate were actually shaped by the influence of someone who feared your potential. And once you recognize this, the direction of your life will shift so drastically that even the people around you will notice, and heaven whispers that the path ahead of you is not defined by curses or misfortune, but by the courage you gain when clarity replaces confusion, when truth replaces influence, when strength replaces fear, and when your authentic self finally rises without apology. Because that is the moment destiny begins again. My beloved child, listen carefully, because the moment you opened this continuation, the spiritual atmosphere shifted again as Archangel Michael stepped forward with a fierce urgency, revealing that what you think you know about the person who stole your promotion is only the surface of a much deeper deception, and heaven shows a vision of a shadowed figure sitting quietly pretending to be innocent while their mind runs calculating circles around your opportunities, your progress, your confidence. And Michael whispers, do not blink now, the truth is about to strike your spirit like lightning. Because the enemy you suspected is not the one who typed the hidden message. The real saboteur is someone who smiled at you, congratulated you, maintained friendly conversations, but deep inside feared your rise, feared your potential, feared your visibility. And the leaked spiritual revelation shows that this person didn't steal your promotion out of hatred but out of panic that you were finally becoming the version of yourself they could no longer outshine. And God reveals the exact moment they made the decision to sabotage you. It was the night before your evaluation, when they noticed your performance overshadowed theirs, and instead of working harder they whispered one poisonous sentence into the ears of the decision maker, a single sentence that twisted perception, bent the situation, and silently shifted the outcome. And you were never meant to know this. They thought their lie was covered forever. But heaven says, the season of hidden enemies is ending and the exposure begins now. And the next 7 days are not about revenge but about restoration, because divine justice does not scream, it returns what was stolen through unexpected doors, unexpected conversations, unexpected opportunities that bypass the people who once blocked your path. And Michael shows a powerful scene of papers shifting, chairs moving, conversations happening behind closed doors, and your name rising again, this time not through whispers but through truth, because the same person who sabotaged you will soon be exposed by their own words, their own inconsistencies, their own actions. And heaven says the panic inside them is already beginning, because they sense you are waking up to the truth. Your spirit is rising, your energy is shifting, and your confidence is returning. And when confidence rises, manipulators lose power instantly. And in the next 7 days you will experience a moment, a sign, a shift that reveals exactly who feared your promotion and why. And it will not be a random sign, it will be a divine alignment designed to restore your balance, your direction, your authority, your name. And when the truth emerges, people will realize that you were never the problem, you were the standard. They couldn't match the light, they couldn't dim the potential they couldn't handle. And God whispers, your restoration begins the moment you recognize your own worth again, because the real battle was never between you and another person. The real battle was between your destiny and their insecurity, and destiny always wins. My beloved child, listen closely, because the moment you asked for this even larger continuation, the spiritual atmosphere around your life surged again as Archangel Michael stepped closer with a blazing intensity, revealing that the enemy who stole your promotion has now entered the stage of fear, the stage where their mask slips without them realizing it, because they can feel a shift, something rising, something approaching, something they cannot block anymore. And heaven shows a vision of them sitting alone, scrolling through messages, rereading conversations, overthinking every word they spoke during the sabotage, wondering if someone noticed, wondering if their lie was too obvious, wondering if their performance was too perfect. And God whispers, their fear is the beginning of your restoration, because the divine realm has started rearranging events behind the scenes, moving pieces like a silent chess master, preparing the checkmate that exposes everything. And the person who stole your promotion is sensing it in their spirit. They don't know why, but they feel watched, they feel unsettled, they feel exposed, even though nothing has been said yet. Their intuition is screaming the same way yours once did, but the difference is you sense truth while they now sense consequences. And Michael shows the moment this shift began. It was when your energy finally shifted from disappointment to awareness, from confusion to clarity, from doubt to awakening. And the enemy knew it instantly, because manipulators can always feel the moment their influence breaks. And heaven reveals that your silence right now is more powerful than any confrontation you could ever make, because your silence is forcing them to replay their actions in their mind again and again, their betrayal echoing louder inside their own thoughts than it ever would if you confronted them. Your silence is exposing them internally before the universe exposes them externally. And God shows an upcoming moment, a conversation where Your name will rise again, but this time not in whispers, not in criticism, not in manipulated stories, but in truth, in accuracy, in recognition, and the same people who doubted you will soon question the behavior of the one who replaced you, the one who benefited from your loss, the one whose insecurity created this entire storm. And heaven says the next 7 days will not bring chaos, they will bring alignment. Opportunities you thought were closed will reopen, pathways you believed were gone will reappear, and the person who stole your promotion will be forced to face the weight of their choices, not through punishment but through the collapse of the false foundation they built for themselves, because lies cannot build a future and insecurity cannot sustain a position, and fake confidence always breaks under real pressure. And God whispers, their elevation was temporary, your restoration is permanent. And as your destiny rises, nothing will stop the truth from reaching the right ears, from entering the right rooms, from influencing the right decisions, because divine timing does not rush, divine timing does not stumble, divine timing never misses. And your destiny is now moving faster than the lies spoken against you, faster than the plans made behind your back, faster than the fear that once held you hostage. And Michael says, when clarity meets destiny, enemies collapse effortlessly, and you will not need revenge, you will not need confrontation, you will not need explanations, because the universe is already shifting the spotlight back onto you, not because you begged for it, but because you earned it, lived for it, suffered for it, and stayed silent long enough for heaven to respond on your behalf. And now the countdown begins, not to your downfall but to their exposure, not to your loss but to your breakthrough, not to your humiliation but to your rise, not to the end of your journey but to the beginning of the chapter that destiny wrote long before they tried to rewrite your story. And God ends with one sentence: what was stolen will return multiplied. My beloved child, listen carefully, because the moment you asked for this next part, the entire spiritual field around your destiny shook as Archangel Michael stepped forward with a blazing sword of truth, revealing that the story you think is ending is actually entering its most explosive twist, the twist where every hidden motive, every whispered lie, every secret meeting, every silent betrayal rises to the surface on its own without you moving a single finger. And heaven shows a chilling vision of the enemy who stole your promotion pacing back and forth in a dim room, heart racing, palms sweating, replaying every strategic lie, every subtle manipulation, every carefully crafted sentence, wondering which detail will come back to expose them first, because the anxiety they feel now is not normal anxiety, it is divine pressure, the kind that falls only on people whose actions have disrupted a chosen destiny. And God whispers, their panic is the first sign that your restoration has begun, because their spirit knows something they haven't spoken out loud. The environment is turning against them. The colleagues who once praised them are suddenly distant. The leaders who once believed them are noticing cracks in their confidence, hesitations in their tone, desperation in their behavior. And these small cracks are not accidents, they are divine fractures created by the truth forcing its way to the surface. And Michael reveals that heaven has started a spiritual countdown, a countdown that does not destroy you but destroys the false elevation they built on top of your rightful position. And now the enemy is sensing something even deeper, something they cannot explain, but they feel like a shadow following them, a weight pressing on their conscience, a fear that didn't exist before, because heaven is moving unseen, pulling strings, shifting conversations, aligning timings so perfectly that the same person who stole from you will soon be cornered by their own choices, exposed by their own words, undone by their own contradictions. And God shows an upcoming moment, a sudden meeting, a casual check-in, an unexpected review where a single question will be asked about their performance, their decision, their justification. And in that moment their mask will slip, not because someone attacks them but because divine truth weakens their composure. And you, my beloved child, will not need to defend yourself, because someone else, someone with authority, someone with influence, someone who holds weight in the Environment will bring your name up again, and this time your name will not be attached to rumor or doubt but to clarity, to competence, to reliability, to the quiet strength that never needed to shout in order to shine. And the room will shift, energy will shift, attention will shift, and suddenly eyes that once overlooked you will begin to see you differently, and the enemy will feel that shift like a tremor running through their spine, because they will know deep down this is the beginning of the end. For me, and Michael whispers, justice does not always roar, sometimes it arrives in silence with perfect timing. And heaven reveals that your destiny was not paused, it was protected, because the environment needed to expose itself before you stepped into your next elevation. And when the dust settles, when the truth emerges, when the energy resets, your rise will not just restore what was taken, it will elevate you to a level even the enemy could never reach, because God did not plan for your story to end in disappointment. God planned for your story to rise from betrayal into unstoppable momentum. And now your breakthrough is not approaching, it is accelerating, running toward you, faster than your fears, faster than your doubts, faster than the lies spoken against you. And heaven ends with this final truth: what they took from you was temporary, what you will gain next is untouchable. My beloved child, listen with absolute stillness, because the moment you asked for this continuation, the spiritual realm surged again like a tidal wave as Archangel Michael stepped forward with a thunderous presence, revealing that you are now stepping into the most dangerous, most explosive, most truth-filled moment of this entire story. The moment where the enemy who stole your promotion begins to lose the one thing they relied on more than their lies: control. Because heaven shows them now sitting in a room full of people feeling smaller and smaller, even though nothing has been said out loud yet. And this is the divine reversal God promised long before you even knew you were being sabotaged. Their confidence is cracking, their voice is shaking, their decisions are slipping, and the people around them are starting to sense that something is wrong. And Michael whispers, this is the trembling of a guilty soul, because the universe has shifted the spotlight from you onto them, and their fear is now louder than your silence. And heaven reveals that they have begun watching you closely, not out of intimidation but out of dread, because your energy has changed, your posture has changed, your presence has changed, and you no longer carry the weight of the loss that once crushed you. Now you carry the silent authority of someone whose destiny is rising again, and the enemy feels that rise like heat on their neck, because manipulators can always sense when their influence is slipping, and this scares them more than exposure itself. And God shows that behind their fake smiles and fake confidence they are replaying their betrayal over and over in their mind, wondering if someone overheard, wondering if someone noticed, wondering if someone caught their inconsistent behavior, wondering if someone saw their real intentions. And the truth is yes, because heaven has quietly positioned someone respected, someone observant, someone whose voice actually matters, who has begun noticing the cracks in their actions. And this person will soon ask an innocent question that feels like a knife to the enemy's conscience, a question so simple yet so precise that it will rip through their mask like lightning. And you won't be there, you won't need to be there, because divine justice moves where your feet cannot go, and your name, which they tried to bury, is now rising in rooms you haven't entered, conversations you don't know about, meetings you were excluded from, and the same people who once doubted you will soon begin to doubt them, because divine energy always exposes what human eyes cannot see. And heaven reveals an even deeper twist: your promotion wasn't stolen, it was delayed, because God refused to let you enter a position surrounded by hidden enemies. God refused to let you celebrate in a room built on false foundations. God refused to let you rise while snakes sat at the table waiting to destroy you. And that is why the setback happened not as punishment but as protection from Corruption, protection from deception, protection from opportunities that looked golden on the surface but were poisoned underneath. And now that the poison has surfaced, now that the enemy is unraveling, now that the truth is crawling into the open like cracks in glass, you are being repositioned, not where you were but where you were always meant to be. And God whispers, your rise will be louder than their betrayal. Because the next chapter of your journey is not about proving yourself to anyone, it is about receiving what was divinely aligned for you long before they tried to interfere. And heaven shows your energy expanding, your confidence returning, your intuition sharpening, your authority awakening. And while they tremble under the weight of their own actions, you rise under the weight of your destined elevation, because what belongs to you cannot be stolen, it can only be delayed, and the delay is ending now. As Archangel Michael declares, their control collapses here and your restoration begins here. And with that, heaven turns the page of your destiny and prepares the stage for what comes next. The moment the truth bursts into the open, without warning, without mercy, without escape, and the one who sabotaged you will watch everything they built on lies crumble while you rise effortlessly into a future they never had the power to block. My beloved child, listen with unshakable focus, because the moment you asked for this even larger continuation, the entire spiritual realm trembled as Archangel Michael stepped forward with a force so powerful that the atmosphere around your destiny spun like a storm, preparing to reveal the darkest part of the sabotage, the part your enemy prayed would never come to light. And heaven shows a vision of the one who stole your promotion spiraling deeper into fear, confusion, and emotional collapse. Because they feel something approaching, something inevitable, something they cannot run from any longer. And God whispers, they sense the unraveling. Because the universe has begun tightening the circle around them, not with violence, not with confrontation, but with truth. Truth that moves silently, truth that appears suddenly, truth that cannot be stopped once it starts rising. And the enemy is now caught in the dangerous space between what they did and what is about to be exposed. And Michael shows their energy, restless, shaking, unstable, pretending everything is fine, but their eyes giving away the storm inside. Because every time your name comes up in a conversation, they flinch slightly, internally panicking, imagining that someone has connected the dots. And heaven reveals that 3 people around them have already begun noticing their inconsistent behavior, the unnecessary explanations, the nervous tone, the forced confidence, the subtle guilt-driven overperformance. And these observers are not random, they are key figures, people whose opinions matter, people who understand human behavior, people who know when something doesn't add up, people who quietly watch before they speak. And your enemy feels their gaze like a weight burning into their skin, because their intuition screams, they know, they know, they know. And God says this is the divine reversal, beginning not with noise but with suspicion, suspicion that slowly turns into awareness, awareness that transforms into quiet examination. Examination that becomes an internal conclusion, and once a conclusion is formed, truth does not stay hidden much longer. And now heaven shows a moment that will change everything, a meeting, a casual discussion, maybe even a simple review, where a question will be asked so unexpectedly, so casually, yet so directly that it will tear a hole in your enemy's mask, and they will not know how to answer, because every lie depends on another lie. And now their web is collapsing too fast for them to hold together. And Michael whispers, this is where the guilty collapse under their own weight, because the universe is tired of their deception and your destiny refuses to stay buried. And now the environment begins shifting in your favor without you lifting a finger, as people around you start recalling your reliability, your consistency, your integrity, your dedication. And the contrast between you and the one who replaced you becomes painfully obvious. And God reveals that your rise is not just returning, it is returning with evidence, with clarity, with timing so perfect that even the enemy will know it is divine intervention, because opportunities that once rejected you will start circling back, doors that once closed will unlock in your direction, conversations that once ignored your value will suddenly revolve around your potential, and heaven shows that the decision makers, the higher-ups, the influential voices will soon begin questioning how the promotion was assigned and why, and as they dig deeper, your enemy will lose their footing, their story will falter, their excuses will crack, their contradictions will expose them layer by layer until nothing is left but truth, and you, my beloved child, will rise without speaking a single negative word, because your silence will echo louder than their explanations. And God whispers, elevation without revenge is the highest form of justice. And that is exactly what is unfolding for you now, because the setback you endured was the preparation, the confusion you faced was the awakening, the betrayal you survived was the activation, and now the rise you are stepping into will surpass anything you expected, because heaven never returns what was stolen in the same measure. Heaven always multiplies it, and what's coming for you next is bigger, louder, stronger, and more aligned than the position you were robbed of, and the enemy who tried to block your path will soon watch your destiny accelerate so fast that they will not even have the chance to interfere again, because Archangel Michael declares, their influence ends here, their power ends here, their shadow ends here, and your restoration begins now. My beloved child, listen with absolute stillness, because the instant you requested this even larger continuation, the spiritual realm erupted with a force so intense that Archangel Michael himself stepped forward with a burning urgency, as heaven finally reveals the darkest, the deepest, and the most dangerous layer of this entire situation. The layer your enemy hoped would never be uncovered, the layer that exposes not just what they did but why they did it, and how terrified they are now that destiny has turned its eyes toward them, because God shows a vision of your enemy sitting alone, staring at the ceiling, replaying every single moment of their betrayal, every word they whispered, every lie they planted, every opportunity they destroyed. But this time they aren't proud of their manipulation, they are terrified of its consequences, because divine justice has begun cracking through the walls they built around their deception. And Michael whispers, look closely, because this is the moment where guilt becomes fear and fear becomes collapse, and heaven reveals that your enemy is no longer acting with confidence, they are now acting with panic, watching every move you make, listening for every shift in the environment, monitoring every conversation that even mentions your name, because they fear something they cannot see but they can feel. The spiritual reversal that heaven is unleashing on your behalf, and now the universe shows the moment their anxiety spikes. Someone in the workplace, someone respected, someone with discernment, someone known for fairness has quietly begun questioning how your promotion was handled, why the decision shifted so suddenly, why your performance was overlooked, and why the one who replaced you seems unstable, defensive, and inconsistent. And this person is not guessing, they are observing every crack in your enemy's behavior, their forced smile, their shaking tone, their unnecessary explanations. And God whispers, this is the beginning of exposure, because nothing can stay hidden when divine timing strikes, and your enemy senses this like a predator sensing the hunter for the first time, and their entire demeanor begins collapsing from the inside out, their confidence melting, their certainty evaporating, their rehearsed lies losing shape, and they cannot understand why the environment feels heavier, why eyes feel sharper, why silence feels louder, why their every step feels watched. But it is because destiny is closing in on them, not violently but undeniably. And now heaven shows an upcoming moment so powerful it shifts the direction of your entire story. Your name will come up in a conversation, not casually but intentionally, and the moment it is mentioned, the energy in the room will shift like a trembling force, because the people present will remember your reliability, your consistency, your worth, and your absence will begin to feel like a mistake, a misjudgment, an imbalance, and your enemy will feel that shift like fire under their skin, because it will be The first undeniable signal that their false elevation is crumbling, and God reveals that those who once overlooked you will begin re-evaluating you with fresh eyes, eyes no longer blinded by your enemy's manipulation, eyes now seeing the truth that your setback was undeserved, your loss was engineered, and your silence was mistaken for weakness when in reality it was the very weapon heaven used to expose the guilty. And now Archangel Michael shows a symbolic scale tipping so violently in your favor that everything your enemy built through deceit is about to collapse under its own weight, because divine justice does not need your hands or your voice. Your justice has already been written into the next 7 days through